yeah. Good morning. Welcome back to the All Purpose Pod for an All Purpose Life, wherever you are today and however you're listening to the Call Me Mr. You, the podcast. We thank you again for making us a part of your morning, your day, and your week. We your weekly mirror check before you change the world, baby. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, the Twitter. Football Talk with Bo and Mr. You are here in the building.
Yeah.
Good morning, brother.
Good morning.
If all right, watching, are we ready to roll?
Grab some coffee. Let's do this thing.
Oh, yeah. Not the 32 ounce today, but I think I'm a little bit mellow, so I think I'm all right. But good, man. Good weekend?
Yeah, it was good. It pretty low key. I actually got to spend most of my Sunday watching some football, so that's exactly how I wanted to spend it.
And no snow, right?
That's right. No yeah, in fact, it was a beautiful sunny day. I think Saturday it was 81. And then yesterday it was mid to upper 70s. So, it's nice. It's nice. We're going to get some rain today, though. I think we have rain most of this week.
All right. Well, I was out there. It wasn't really it was a casual event. Some business partners of mine were out there. We did some Top Golf yesterday.
Oh, nice.
My hands are like super sore. This is my first time doing Top Golf, but I don't know why today. Yesterday my hands are super sore. I'm like, wow. My hands, I don't want to type or write anything today. My hands are so sore, but I had so much fun. It was a nice day out here too. I think it was high at 69, 70, which is like sweet spot for me. I'm like, ooh, that's a great optimum temperature for me. But yeah, man. But I want to jump into the episode today. But real quick though, somebody said that success is doing the small things consistently. Do you believe there's an accurate view of success, or just something more to it? In every realm and genre, there's people call it overnight success, but it takes years to actually be that.
Yeah.
And I think you got to credit hard work, consistency, and even the ability to adjust, which is really important, especially in sports. But in the realm of sports specifically, this is the time of the football seasons more than any other, where teams start to distinguish themselves, pull away from the rest of the pack. You start finding out who they actually are. I'm not sure there's a team out there that's been consistent in every area. I struggle to find at least one that's doing that. That's consistent in all areas and all facets. But this might be, tell you the truth, I could be wrong, but this could be the most open that the league's been in years, where anybody can actually, go on a run and be in the playoffs. Even a team that only won one game so far, which is the kind of weird. I don't recall hearing this back in the day. How about you? Do you remember this being so tight and so close?
Yeah, I mean, there's been years where there's been some really nice parity.
Okay.
But that being said, there's also been those years where, you got half a dozen teams that are going to own the league. And honestly, I kind of thought that's how this year was going to be. So it's interesting to see.
Still be.
I mean, it definitely could still be, but it's interesting to see these teams that we viewed as top flight teams coming in struggling. Right. With the exception of the Niners. I will say that is the team that is the most complete. They do all three phases of the game well. I mean, they're just absolutely steamrolling people. So I would say that one team, they seem to be doing everything well currently. Now, whether or not that stays true, right, because it all depends on, injuries and how things pan out. But, when you look at what the Niners have been able to do, it's impressive.
Absolutely. I mean, I was just looking at some of the standings and just kind of looking at the win-loss percentages, strength of schedule. I just had a little bit of extra time last night. But a one-win team can go and win 6, 7, 8 straight and can be in the playoffs easily. And I'm like, that's kind of weird to say that. I can't recall that being something I remember ever happening. So that leads to our poll question. which one win team has the best chance to turn their season around, whatever that looks like.
So is your question before this last weekend or today?
The question is today.
Today?
Yeah. Which one-win team had the best chance to turn the season around? And I posted it yesterday so our listeners can have time to kind of live with it a little bit, but it was within the less than 24 hours, 12 hours ago.
Okay, well, that's what I was going to ask, because if it was before the Sunday games, then that changes the dynamic of that question quite a bit.
Yeah.
But if it's today, 5 weeks in, so that means one-win team is 1-4, or potentially 1-3 if they had the first bye week. Although I don't think anybody was with the bye week. Was that? Let's see what we got.
I don't think anybody had that yet.
One. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of one-win teams left, so it's. Oh, okay. No, there's a couple that I could see.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna talk about that at the end of the show and jump back into it. I'm sure I already got a couple of comments coming in about who they thought was going to be that one-win team. We'll see how it looks, because I know that the Bengals might have. I got a couple of messages regarding, so we'll accept those answers because we know that
Well, that's exactly why I asked. Because if we were doing it before Sunday, then I would easily take the Bengals, right? Because once they figure their team out. But if we're talking today, then it almost has to be either the Vikings or the Bears, because none of the rest of the one-win teams have a shot.
Okay, but now look at you now. Hey. Already with the insults already? Haven't even got a day started. I only had one sip of coffee. You already with the insults already?
Wow. You just took it to the Giants. I didn't say it outright.
Who else were you talking about? That had no shot. Okay.
The Pats also don't have a shot.
The Pats don't have a shot either. Okay.
No, they're not even a one-win team.
Yeah. Copy that.
The Cards don't have a shot, right? I mean, they don't have a shot to get out of the division, let alone into the playoffs. So, and of course, your Giants, yes, is definitely in that mix, especially now that Daniel Jones is hurt. But we'll talk about more of that later.
Oh my goodness! Help us, Saquon. But anyway, so I don't know how much we can hang out there today. I know your boy Dion got a win, and he wasn't happy about it. And you know what? I really can't blame him. If you watch, and I didn't get to watch this particular game, but I've been watching the previous game, and I saw the same thing he was talking about 2 days ago. The way they've been coming out in the first half, the way they've been looking, drop passes, kind of lackadaisical. I don't blame him for being steamed. I think he's starting to feel some of the pressure of, you know what? Okay, you exceeded your season total from last year, but now what are you going to do? I think he's starting to feel the heat of that a little bit, because his comments were like really, really pointed and sharp, and they weren't directed at players only, but also at the coaches too. So I'm like, starting to feel the heat. I feel like I can see the flames and the smoke coming off of that man. I'm like, yeah, you feeling the heat, aren't you?
Well, they went right back to not being able to run the ball too. I mean, 56 yards, right? Like it's not like they did any work out there. Yeah,
and the run defense hasn't been solved either. The run defense,
no, not at all. I mean, they gave up almost 400 yards total, right?
They haven't fixed it.
So
I'm not sure they can fix it with the team that they have, but I guess we'll find out. You mentioned USC earlier. You can't get by on skinnier teeth for every game. It's good. Your luck's going to run out at some point in time, and these guys are just skating by. I don't know how they're doing that, but they are.
Yeah, I mean, but because they are falling in polls, right? So they, even in a win, they went from 9th to 10th. Going against the unranked Arizona, took it to triple overtime. Not particularly a pretty game, but they do get the win. So I mean, and they did mount a comeback, right? They were down 17 at one point in that game. So I mean, good on them to keep fighting, come back. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's a team that they should have been able to, just roll right over. So USC definitely has some questions, certainly on the defensive side.
Yeah, were you shocked at all with the Oklahoma-Texas game? I heard a lot of stuff about that one, and I just, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but it's one of those situations that was kind of reverse to what you were talking about earlier, where the lower ranked team knocked out the higher rank in Texas by 4 points. But
yeah. I mean, so this was a weekend where whoever was higher in the rankings won. And the wider the split, the wider the margin of victory is really how it went outside of USC. Like if it was a ranked versus unranked, they absolutely just crushed them. And then if it was a ranked versus another ranked, so like this was 5 versus 9, 5-1. This was a tight game, which you knew it was going to be. They got their rivalry there. But then you also had UCLA and Wazoo, right? They were I forget what their rankings are, but they were right next to each other.
UCLA,
yeah.
I
think it was
I thought they weren't ranked at all.
What's that?
I thought UCLA wasn't ranked at all. No,
they were both ranked, I believe. But
UCLA is not ranked.
Oh, they're not ranked?
No, Washington State's ranked 13.
Oh, okay. They won't be. UCLA ends up putting together a nice fourth quarter and comes back to win that game. So, that'll probably drop Wazoo to the edge of the top 25 if they're still in it at all.
What's Wazoo going to? Are they going to stand pat? Or are they moving out of their conference too?
I mean, I feel like you have to move.
So weird. That whole thing is weird, man.
UCLA was ranked. It was 18th and 19th. UCLA was ranked 18th in the AP poll. Wazoo 19th. And
I'm not in the AP poll. It doesn't have them ranked at all.
Oh, okay. But in any event, it's one of those where it was a tight game. UCLA comes back, but again, it's impressive that Pac-12 has schools in the top 25. At least as it sits at the moment. That can change any minute since it's a voting game. But
copy that. any minute now.
Any minute.
Yeah.
As soon as them voters wake up, that could move around a little bit.
Copy that. Let's jump into our top 10 power rankings. All right. This was a little bit weird for me this time around because we had a couple of teams that were in my top 10 last week on a bye. Yep. I didn't want to hurt them because they were taking a break. So I'm going to go ahead and start with mine. You're going to start with yours off. Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Copy that. Let's start from 10. All right. I got the Ravens at. I pretty much struggled with that. I was thinking about the Jags as well on the heels of their victory yesterday, but I don't think it was enough to put them in the top 10. The Ravens had to drop them about 4 points. Honestly, seriously, we've been talking about it all season, and it still hasn't seemed to be changing. I know you had them as a Super Bowl contender. I think you had them as. I don't know how you feel about that now. You can share that when you get a chance. But, all these drops by the wide receivers, embarrassing drops. I mean, they're not helping Jackson out whatsoever. I mean, yesterday was the third time that he threw for 200 yards all season. Man, all the late game miscues and whatnot. You got all these guys with so much talent, man, and they can't catch passes. And I mean, I honestly, I ain't gonna pick on Odell, man, but because we always say once a giant, always a giant, but he hurt Eli with that so many times. There was so many times, man, where he would drop critical passes. I'm not saying that that's just his thing or anything, because I'm not an expert. I'm not a wide receiver. I'm saying, but it's happening so much to Lamar Jackson. It's like, wow, how do you get past this? You can't keep riding Lamar's legs, which is what they're still doing, and showed that again yesterday. It's like you can't keep doing that. And matter of fact, now there's 2 or 3 other quarterbacks that we'll talk about during the show following that same pattern because their O-line is not trustworthy. They're using their legs, and they're either getting hurt or they're pretty close to us. Got them at 10. I got the Bucks at 9. They're on a bye. I couldn't knock them out. I didn't think that was fair. Got the Seahawks at 8. Didn't knock them out either. So both of them got they got a little boost because of the Ravens dropping down. Got the Cowboys at 7. 3 wins against sub 500 teams and lost to Arizona. They had their first real challenge last night, and they struggled mightily, especially early on in the first quarter. But they're still top 5 in scoring, but I had to drop them because they got shellacked and looked really, really bad against their first real challenge. So if they mess around and do this again 1 or 2 more weeks, they'll be out of my top 10 completely. All right, got the Bills at 6. They got caught slipping in London. You and I talked about it at length that it's going to possibly happen. Jackson's well rested, up in there chilling in London. Bills had to travel. they got hit with it, and they lost 2 huge defensive players. One of which is Matt Milano. I love that guy, man. He's the heart and soul of that team, and now he's out. That's going to be a rough one to handle. 5 got the Dolphins. I think I had them there at 5 last week too. They handled a rebuilding team the way they should have. Got speed all over the place. Still some concern about defense to me. And I'm seeing some holes in the interior O-line that is kind of starting to show. As you can tell, Stewart got smacked around about 4 or 5 times yesterday too. Lions at 4. Most complete team in the division so far. They're right up there with the Niners in our estimation of complete teams. Doing it on all sides. They feed Montgomery a lot. I'm watching this because I watched him in Chicago when he had the bulk of the load, how he responded to it. So I'm concerned about longevity, but we'll see. They won 11 of the last 14 since last season, so they're super hot. Nuclear hot, by the way. The Chiefs at 3. Not much to say. The champs get the benefit of the doubt until they don't, right? Eagles, number 2. They're not really clicking, but they're still steady. It's really weird about them. Undefeated, but they're not even clicking on all cylinders yet. But they're winning in the trenches on both sides, the O-line and the D-line. And they got a run game that's kind of breaking records right now because they got, I think, all of their guys running 2 or 3 yards before they even make any kind of contact. So I think that's some kind of record or something. They got a serious pass rush going on. As you can see with their new rookie, whose name is escaping me right now. Might have a return to the Super Bowl. And, of course, number 1, all that's left is the Niners. C-Mac still healthy, thankfully. Gaining an NFL high 36.8% of his team scrimmage yards, which is really good. Purdy's managing games where you'd like him to, and he still have room for improvement. So it's pretty scary. And Debo's starting to come on. They're not clicking on all cylinders yet, and they're still grinding out quality wins, man. So pretty scary stuff to watch this, but great win by them last night. We'll talk about it later, but jump into your top 10, brother.
So I guess I'll go 10-1 also. So I still have
more fun that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's not a lot of movement at the top, but at least as it sits. So I got the Bucks. I didn't hurt them because they were on a bye. So they sit there at that 10th spot. The Ravens dropped to 9. Man, they just really haven't played great football yet. I think the frustrating part about that is they have a team where they should be. I mean, they have a team that on defense should be solid, on offense should be solid. They got some, new toys that came in like Odell, and they just can't effectively seem to get the product to gel on the field yet.
It's weird.
If they do figure it out, obviously they are a top 10 team. But as it sits right now, I mean, man, they can find their way off this list real quick. The Cowboys dropped to number 8 for me. Obviously, the wins that they had were against teams that are, we'll say, struggling. And then, they lose to Arizona. So I don't believe in this team. I didn't before, which is why it was never in one of those top spots for me anyway. But I believe in them less because as soon as they go against a team that's really testing them, they just absolutely collapsed. It'd be one thing if it was a loss, but it was close. Right? Like yeah. I can't make you drop a ton if you were losing to the Niners 35-32 or something like that, right? Be like, okay, well, you hung with them, right? Like the Niners look like they're the best team, so you're right there with them, whatever. But to absolutely just get blasted, man, yeah, you're definitely falling the spots. And then, I have the Hawks here. On the bye week as well. But the fact that they're able to knock off teams with the amount of injuries they've had, essentially no offensive line. It really gives you a look at how good this team could be with everybody. And hopefully coming off of this bye week, they're going to have some of these players back, because at the end of that last game, they ended up with 17 people on that injury report, which is insane, right? Like that's almost 30% of your team is, nicked up in some way. And to still be collecting wins, even with that, I feel like you have to be on the top 10 list. So then I have the Lions right ahead of them. They, they look like they are absolutely going to be winning that division. They have,
Yeah.
the way they've won games, is impressive, because it hasn't necessarily been the same way every time, which lets you know it's a complete team. And they've been able to find wins, in all three phases. So I like what I'm seeing there. Of course, the Dolphins, they're still at 5 for me. When it comes to the Dolphins, I need to see something out of that defense to make me want to push them further up that list. Obviously, the offense is dynamic. They add another receiver that they didn't need, but good on them for getting some depth. And there's so much speed on the offense. If most games they're in, if it's another good team, I guess will be a track meet. But their defense lets people score, and that can be a problem when the temperature drops a little bit. Then I have the Bills. I didn't drop them because of their loss over there. They were going against a team that had been there for 2 weeks. That there's going to be some fatigue flying across the pond to play. I still think they should have won, but I like the turnaround that Jacksonville has had over the last couple games. So, that's one of those teams that I'm going to be watching moving forward, just to see if they can finally get it together. Because, again, it's a good team that just hasn't been performing. And if this is where they're going to be, then, I expect to see Jacksonville creep into the top 10 here in a couple of weeks, probably. But, we'll see. We'll see what that looks like. Then I have KC at 3. That self-explanatory. They haven't played particularly great, but they're getting wins. And, it's one of those wins, right?
Takes you off, man. It's not fair.
I mean, they get it done. They get it done. I was a little worried when you saw Kelsey go down, with that ankle injury, mid game ish. And, for him to be able to come back out, be effective, have about a pound of tape on that ankle to make it so he could go. But, they get that win. And of course, the Eagles at 2, man, that can be a scary team, considering they are undefeated and still have not played very well, really.
Not at all.
So if they get it all on the same page, that's going to be a dangerous team for sure. And of course, the Niners, in that first spot, they're playing the best football in the league, hands down. It doesn't matter who's lined up in front of them. They seem to take care of business pretty easily. And of course, you got Kittle with 3 touchdowns yesterday. So, they'll use him however, if he's blocking, if he's catching passes, like they are effectively using every piece of that team. And man, it's going to take some work to knock them out of that top spot the way they're playing.
Absolutely, man. It's like the AFC and the NFC got at least 3 teams that are kind of cementing their place already. Yep. And which is only week 5, which is pretty scary. But there's still time for some folks to catch up if they want to. That's our poll question. And which one to win team? Excuse me, I can't talk this morning. Which one to win team is best suited to turn the season around? So we'll look at that. But let's go ahead and break down the week that was. There was so much football going on. So I know you had a couple of teams a few games you want to talk about. Jacksonville Jaguars and the Bills. Was that one of the teams you were going to be talking about?
Yeah, I mean, so that one, I don't know how much time we really got to spend on that. It was kind of
not much.
It was kind of a sloppy game, and you knew it would be, again, because there was a travel day. You heard earlier in the week that a lot of the Bills players were saying they were tired. Before the game was ever played. it made me a little worried about my pick going into the game, because you were hearing rumblings of them being tired, on Saturday, and it's like, oh well, I mean, if you're dragging and you're not even to game day yet, and of course there's all the extra attention because it's over there, right? So it's almost like a playoff style game. So there's lots of media and just outside noise to have to contend with that Jacksonville, is just used to, because they go there every year. And of course, this was their second week in a row. So they were, acclimated to the time change. That being said, you got to win the game on the field. So I'm not taking anything away from Jacksonville. Like they beat the Bills, so good on them. Yeah. But it's also why I didn't have them slide down the list. It was still a close game. It's not like they got absolutely smacked by Jacksonville or anything.
No question. I think this game just highlights what I think you and I have been saying about Buffalo and Jacksonville throughout the course of the season, about their kind of struggling to find their identity. All the pieces seem to be there, but they struggle against opponents they shouldn't struggle against, and they get dominated by teams they shouldn't be getting dominated by. It's a very weird dynamic. I mean, I know they were tired because I can imagine with the traveling. I travel 3 times a year for business, and I feel the fatigue of that, whether it be in a car or by plane. I feel that's. So imagine flying to London. I get it, but something was going on, man, because they sacked Trevor Lawrence 5 times.
Yep.
So you how tired were you exactly? I mean, they had like 29 rushing yards. That might indicate something, but and they had over 100 yards in penalties. So yep. that could be a factor as well. But I mean, there was something going on because they sacked him 5 times. They had him on the run, so they had some kind of juice. But at the end of the day, man, they just have they seem to have an identity problem. That's what kind of gives me pause about the Bills. Because even last year, and I jumped right on Twitter after the season was over and said, "Who do you think is going to be the Super Bowl, the next Super Bowl champion? Who's going to be that team?" Overwhelmingly, people were saying Buffalo. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Based on what? Not just Josh Allen, because you can't rely on him only. It can't just be that. So why are you saying that? Yep. There's nothing particularly happening in the running game that's kind of just blowing your mind. Where you get this, in flight, they're doing exactly what they were doing last year and the year before. So it's like that was, yeah. We got to watch them because they're slipping in my rankings really fast, and before you know it, it could be out of my top 10. So Bears and Commanders. Oh, good. Well,
I was going to say the biggest problem with the Bills is they live and die on the arm of Josh Allen, right? So he's basically forced to play hero ball all the time. And, most of the time it works. Sometimes it doesn't. I mean, you saw the game before, Stephon Diggs was super happy, got the ball, whatever. And then in the middle of this game,
now he's sad.
Yeah, right. He's all mad and he spikes his tablet on the ground, and it's just like, okay. Not every game is going to go your way, man.
You want a cookie? You're going to be okay?
Pretty much.
You want a cookie? You're going to be okay? Okay. You okay?
Yep.
Ready for a nap?
Pretty much.
Yeah, break, man. I saw that thing, man. He had a little smirk on his face. I'm like, what? Is this all for TV? I'm like, just never mind. I don't want to go there. I want to talk about it. All right, so Bears and Commanders. We had fun with that one on Thursday night because we had it locked down. Or to say the truth, I did have some apprehension. We're doing our picks. I said, you know what? This is the kind of game where the Bears are going to come out and surprise everybody and play like they kind of did the game before for at least 2 quarters or so before everything just kind of went to hell in a handbasket. But we were going back and forth, texting each other. I'm like, by the first quarter, I want to change my pick.
No, me too. I was just like, oh, okay, like, the Bears came out.
Change my mind. I saw what was happening, and believe me, that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
They put a whipping on the Commanders.
They did.
I mean, the Ron Rivera discussion is going to be something that it's going to be hard for us to avoid. He's been below average since I think the 2015 season with Cam. It hasn't been great since then. Is he going to make it to the end of the season? Is Howell the future at quarterback? It's a lot of questions, man, and I don't have the answers for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely on the hot seat. There's four that I can think of immediately that are in very real danger of getting fired this year. In fact, it's probable they're getting fired this year. One, Josh McDaniels, right? That Raiders team looks terrible. You have Brandon Staley, right? Again, yeah, probably. Riverboat Ron, right? Like, that's one of those dudes. And I mean, honestly, Belichick could absolutely be on a short list, especially if the Pats don't figure out how to at least win a couple of games here coming up.
That's going to be funny. Wish we could spend some time on that one because that's an awesome topic. I'd love to stay there, but I don't know if we can. But nothing went right for Washington, man. Howard throwing interceptions, defense getting beat routinely. Joey Slye missing field goals. That's your only job, missing field goals. Logan Thomas is fumbling, multiple red zone flops and drops, and oh man. And they had I'm glad the defense played well because it was kind of an honor to the passing of Bears legend and Hall of Fame linebacker Dick Bucket. So it was just good to see them get off of the snide, man. So that was good, man. Texans and Falcons. This is a weird one for me because it wasn't the kind of game that you put as a marquee game or anything.
Yeah.
But I was driving when this was going on.
It's a good game.
Announcer with Desmond Ritter they were talking about him like he was like the next second coming of somebody. I'm like, wow, is Ritter for real? 28 of 37 for 329.
Yep.
One touchdown, no picks, rush a touchdown, first 300-yard game. Where was this guy a few weeks ago? We was waiting for him to show up. What was different this time? I mean, we already knew that he needed to have Kyle Pitts and Drake London, and they needed to be together. We knew that already.
Yep.
What happened? Why was today different? I don't get it. What happened?
I got nothing. I was in a survivor poll, right? Where you pick one team each week. You can't re-pick a team, right?
Oh,
and then it's whoever lasts longest. And so I rocked with the Texans here because I thought they were going to win. You know, I thought it was going to be like a field goal, right? Like I figured it'd be close, but I was trying to save my heavy hitting teams until later, right? Like I wanted to be able to save KC and the Dolphins and, you know, teams that you could feel good winning later in the season. Whereas, you know, teams like this, because guys are young, they could fall off the rails, you know, at any time, right? So I'm like, okay, this is one of their favorable matchups. I didn't like what I've seen out of the Falcons. So I'm like, I'll take the Texans, live to play another day. And, you know, until there was 30 seconds left, I'm like, here we go. And then, you know, they punch it in, game over. I was just like,
Texans want to make him pass, and the Birds made him pay.
Yep.
That's what happened.
Yep.
I have a question. I don't know if we can answer it today, but I have a question about the running back situation in Houston.
Okay.
I forgot what the money was, but they had the most payroll of anybody in the NFL last year. Okay. I forgot the number, but you can look it up. I'm positive they were number one. They had the most money available.
Oh, as far as cap space?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
And they were spending that bad boy. Explain to me in short, as if it's possible that you can, why didn't address running back? Dameon Pierce, man, I don't know a whole lot about him, but I watched enough of him, even at Florida, to know that he's not a number one running back.
Yeah.
It's not that they picked him in the fourth round. That's not why. He's just not number one running back.
Sure.
And now what they have there is Pierce and Singletary from the Bills, who wasn't the number one running back there either. Yeah. Hence why he's on the Texans right now. Neither of these guys are the future. Why didn't they spend any money on running back?
Especially the amount of running backs there been available.
There was a few out there that would have suited them very well and even helped Stroud even more. Right now, you got guys that were running back 4 and 5 from other teams. You got Ogunbowale. He was I think an RB4, RB5, I think, with Dallas. And then you have Mike Boone. I think he was an RB4. I'm sure he was an RB4 from Minnesota, RB3. I think it was the RB4 because they had Ham during that time. That's their running back room.
Yeah.
And Kareem Hunt just got off of the street a little while ago, among some other names. Dalvin Cook was there too as well.
So the thing with that though is those are free agents, and if you are a free agent running back, that's not the destination I'm trying to go. You know,
okay.
So because you're a free agent, you get to control your own destiny a little bit. Like I would take less money and go to a team that can contend.
Okay.
Rather than be RB1 and absolutely get crushed behind the offensive line that, you know, is inconsistent. Like it's not a bad offensive line, but it is inconsistent. So I'm not trying to leave hurt on a team that has no chance. So I would be willing to take a little bit less money to land somewhere where I'm not going to get just beat down all the time and I have a shot at a ring.
Well, I'm not going to say what that's where we have a difference of opinion because I know the Texans aren't going to win this year. I'm pretty sure of that. But They are a lot further ahead schedule than some teams are. And I'm not even sure standing here right now that the Jets and the Browns are going to be winning. I don't know that.
Yeah.
There's nothing that says to me, you know what, these guys are Super Bowl contenders. If they win a division, that's miraculous all by itself for that to happen. And it probably should not happen. So how are they much better off than the Texans? The Texans can give them a long-term contract, secure their future, and they're on the upswing. I don't know if the Browns and the Jets are there like that, even especially with Rodgers being out with the Jets and the Browns doing Brown stuff.
Well,
so I don't know. I think they might have missed the opportunity because
when Cook signed over there, they still had Rodgers, so that made sense at the time. Like you didn't know he was going to make it 4 plays and go down.
Yeah, but you also knew that they running back was already stacked already. And when Breece Hall came back, you knew what was going to happen, right? Breece Hall was going to be getting all of the run.
Yeah, you were going to split carries for sure. But, I mean, you're on a team that going into the season was deemed to have a real shot, right? Like, I didn't think so. I thought they were a fringe, playoff team anyway, even with Rodgers. But, most of the media had them spun up as a potential favorite, right? Which, whatever. I didn't have them there, but hey. But, the thing is, the Texans are on the upswing, but you're talking about, running backs that are on their, second or third contract. And you don't necessarily have time for a full-on rebuild because your contract is going to be up by the time that team really starts to gel, right? And I agree that they are absolutely ahead of schedule. They're playing well overall. But that being said, if I'm a running back, especially, I'm on my second or third contract, I'm trying to go somewhere that I can win. Whereas, again, with the Texans, there's a real chance that, you sign a 3-year deal. That's when they're finally going to be starting to get there, right? Like they're going to be truly competitive in your last year. Because, I mean, they're winning some games. They're all right now. Next, this off season, they add a few more pieces. They're going to get a little bit better, especially if they can shore up some position groups. So next year they should be solid. I still don't think they're going to be world beaters or anything like that. So then it would be that third year where they should be consistent, like playoff potential team. And, that'd be the last year of your contract there. So again, it's just how much do you want to get beat up in the meantime?
Yeah, I hear you, man. I see that differently though, because I named Dalvin Cook and Kareem Hunt only because those are names that kept coming to mind. They weren't the only ones that were out there, I'm sure. That's just who came to mind. Yep. Them guys want to be number one. Kareem Hunt wanted that when he was with the Browns the first time when they had Nick Chubb. He wasn't thrilled to be splitting carries 60-40 or 70-30, whatever it was. He wasn't thrilled with that. Yep. Dalvin Cook had most of the run. Madison was on the 30-40% of the split. These guys don't want to be no backups. They want to be number one guy. And now you're in a place now. And now, well, Kareem Hunt isn't right now, but that's what kind of Dalvin Cook is right now. Breece Hall is out there. nobody thinks that Cook is the number one out there. But in Houston, he would be that without any doubt because Pitts would give him no competition.
Yeah, well, you have to think that going into week 1, it looked like Breece Hall was going to miss more time than he did. So, I think what Dalvin Cook was looking for was, hey, I'm going to go on a team that is supposed to have a real shot. Breece Hall at the time looked like he was probably going to be back week 6 or 7, right? Kind of slow roll him in because you got a guy. But I mean, he came back early, so he's going to be that dude. It's his team, right? But when he got signed, it looked like Breece Hall was going to be, out of ways, and you were going to have Aaron Rodgers. So like, I didn't hate that fit, right? Like I got the sign.
Hang on, what I'm talking about.
But
I'm saying the missed opportunity to grab somebody better than what they had there and improve that running back because they're going to need that for this role that they're on right now. They didn't address it.
Sure. I mean,
that's my only point.
You could say that same thing. You could say that same thing with Miami, though. Like Miami should have.
I think I have said it.
No, that's what I mean. So I mean, like some of these teams just didn't pull the trigger when they probably should have. Because they had the cap space. Like they could have made him an offer he couldn't refuse, right?
I feel like Texas is going to end up paying for this. If this is yeah. I don't like Pierce in that spot, but
no, I'm with you. I think if they had a little bit better, blocking schemes up front to open some holes, I think he'd probably have a little more success as well. But again, it's a young team.
They're figuring it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a work in progress. They're going to win some games that you're surprised, and they're going to lose some games where you're just like, oh, I mean, okay, yeah, Texans got it.
All right. Well, a few of these teams, we're going to have to the game we're going to go through a little bit quickly. But so I won't spend a lot of time on the Titans and the Colts because time is against us now. We're up against the clock. But look what happened with Richardson. We've been talking about this for weeks beforehand. We said, and I said the same thing about Lamar Jackson said, this quarterback is trying to play hero ball and do it all by themselves, including running the ball, playing running back. Bad things can only result from this. And now look where we are. And that crowd was going crazy for Minshew. I'm like, y'all understand this is Gardner Minshew, right? This is the stash.
Hey,
y'all cheering him like he gonna come and take you to the Super Bowl. I'm like, that's not what this is.
He wins games though.
Okay, no.
He 100%. He's 100% this era Ryan Fitzpatrick.
No, I'm not gonna do that. No.
He is. He's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I would no, we're not do that. No.
That's his comp. He will come in and win games. He'll also win games.
He wins games like all quarterbacks wins games. He don't win everything he touches doesn't turn to gold. Put it like that.
That's not at all what I say. And I'm saying he's this era Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's a likable guy you want to cheer for, can win you some games, and is absolutely going to lose you some games too.
Yeah, you better put that part on there because that's a fact. And the Colts fans, I think they've forgotten. They must have watched him on his previous teams.
They got the dub though.
Yeah. Okay. Really?
They did.
Come on, man.
They did. It falls in the win column.
Okay. All right. We'll be on Minshew watch then. I want to hear you eat it when the time comes because it's gonna come.
I didn't say he's going to go win a Super Bowl.
No. Nobody can say that. I'm just saying this is not.
Part of what I said was
it's not Minshew time.
I don't even think he gets to the playoffs. Like I'm not saying that at all.
It's not Minshew time. That's all I'm saying. It's not.
No, it's never Minshew time.
It's not a big deal.
But he is a solid backup, so like he can come in and win you a game.
He can get hit. He can get injured too. That's what happened. The same thing he's getting ready to do that he does too. That he does well. Richardson does the same thing. They almost carbon copies of each other. So what's going to prevent him from getting the same? You see what I'm saying? This is not good.
I agree with you. That
should have started him in the first place. Let him start and let Richardson learn, develop things on the O line. Second, they got an O line. I think Nelson was the one that was out.
Yeah,
and he was a big part of their line. I'm like, starting off bad. I hate to see him go down, man.
No, I mean, we talked about that before the season started. That we said Minshew should start and bring Richardson in later. And obviously, this is the second time he's been hurt. He's trying to do too much. with an AC joint. It said it was a grade 3, which means he's done for at least a month. So yeah. I mean, I guess we're gonna find out.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's
we got to talk about Danny Dimes. Got to talk about it.
I want to come back to that because I think I have to. All right, so let's do Saints and Patriots real quick. No, today. Let's do Saints and Patriots and Ravens and Steelers real quick.
Yep.
Okay, so Saints and Patriots. All right. The crowd is already cheering for Zappe already. I'm like, okay. Like, you mentioned Belichick, and I'm trying to figure it out because we watched Mac Jones actually look good. This is why I don't understand. So the only thing that I get from this my eyes tell me is that he's doing something different than what he was doing before. That's what my eyes are telling me. I mean, he's not the most athletic person in the world, doesn't have the best arm in the world, but when he's good at decision making and he's good at mechanics. And when he breaks away from that, that's when bad things happen. I think even in his college career, he was best known for those two things. Bill Belichick is benching him because he's, like you said, playing hero ball. I told you going to be several quarterbacks we're going to talk about that are playing hero ball. This is one of those examples too. He's trying to do too much. Why are you benching him? Help me understand his thought process. Why are you benching somebody because he's trying to do too much? Because he had no choice. Why you benching him? Why are you punishing him for that? I don't understand that. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's one of those. Once you're far enough behind, yank your starter out. Give your backup some reps. I mean, they weren't coming back. Their defense was giving up points. He was throwing picks. Like, it's a game that got away from him early. At that point, yank him out. Don't get him hurt in an effort where you're not going to win anyway. Give your backup some reps. Obviously there's some of that element where it seems like Bill doesn't necessarily love Mac Jones anyway. So
there's the real point right there.
Right? Like, I mean, he might have just been looking for a reason to yank him out. Now, did it matter? No, this is finally a look at the Saints team we thought they were going to be. Like on paper, you're like, okay, this team should be good. They got a solid defense. Their offense should be improved over last season. Kamara comes back, so you're like, all right, like they got some things. They should be able to do some work. And last week they didn't do any of that. So you're just like, I don't really know what's going on with the Saints team. And then then they finally come out and ball out against a Patriots team that, let's be awesome, I wasn't expecting to do anything this year anyway. But I didn't expect them to be this bad, though. I mean, because generally a Patriots team, even if the offense is struggling, they usually have a decent defense and a solid offensive line and whatever. And Mac Jones, he was under duress quite a bit, which is why you end up with bad decisions and picks. And so but it's also one of those reasons why I was like, well, Bill might be finding his way out of New England sooner than later.
Oh yeah, well, I want to see how that's going to work out. Before we talk Giants and Dolphins and Cowboys and Niners, real quick, anything on Joe Burrow and his resurgence and the situation with Peyton and Russell Wilson? Any quick blurbs on those?
I mean, we've just been waiting for the Bengals to take the turn, right? I mean, it's not like their team is terrible. You knew their defense wasn't going to be great, so it's going to be, like the Dolphins, it's going to be a track meet every time, but you expected Burrow to get it together. So, it's good to see him battling through. Looked like he wasn't really hampered by the calf anymore. So, it was good to see on that front. Man, that Broncos are, wow, that team is just a mess. We don't have enough time in an hour-long show to go over all the things wrong with the Broncos.
That's why I said quick with and Russell Wilson, because I knew that would take too much time to break down.
We'll just leave it as they are a mess.
Yeah. Fair enough. Sound like this. It's even trickling down. The messiness is trickling down to the quarterback coaches. Yeah. Wow. Some other stuff out there. I don't even know what to start. Cowboys, Niners first, or the Giants and Dolphins? Because I'm going to be spending so much time with the Giants and Dolphins.
No.
I don't know what.
Let's just cruise through the Giants because we actually don't even really need to talk about the game so much outside of Jones getting hurt. And I mean, it's something that you knew was going to happen. He's been getting absolutely crushed behind that offensive line. He's got 28. He's been sacked 28 times. So, like, if he didn't get hurt, he probably would set the single season sack record from David Carr, from years ago, right? So, I mean, he's just getting crushed back there. And outside of the 28 times he's been sacked, he's been hit 14 more. And that doesn't include the ones where it actually goes down as a rush because he managed to get across the, line of scrimmage scrambling. So, I mean, if you figure 28 times he's been sacked, 14 times he's been hit, and then there's probably at least another 14 times where he was able to at least get across the line of scrimmage before getting lit up. So he has an entire game's worth of snaps where he's been thrown on the grass. I mean, a quarterback's going to get hurt at that rate.
Yeah. where do we begin? I didn't pick the Giants to win. I feel like we had too many issues to try to contend, mainly with the speed part. I felt like we can get a pass rush against Tua. I felt confident about that part, and I'll come back to why in a second. But the biggest thing was counteracting the speed, and I didn't think that we had the ability to do that. Linebackers and cornerbacks, I just didn't see it. So I didn't pick I picked the Dolphins to win. The number wasn't as high as what we saw today. A little bit less than that, I think was my number. I think it was like I forgot what it was. I thought it was 7 or 10 point advantage. But it's really because excuse me, everybody's piling on the Giants right now, and everybody's saying, "Oh, Giants suck," and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, there are some spots that there's some reasons for this, but there's also some bright spots, especially on the defensive side. It's kind of understated. I mean, the defense has definitely improved somewhat. I mean, Thibodeau, we were talking about him for weeks, trying to get him to wake up. He had 4 sacks in the last 3 games. I mean, he's waking up. He gave Tua some fits a couple of times during the game yesterday. He kind of got all lost in the whole O-line, Daniel Jones talk. They gave up 320 yards total in the first half, but there has been some improvements. I'm pretty cool with that.
You did get a couple of picks too.
Absolutely. I mean, I like Jason Pinnock. I mean, even before he did that, I feel like he was a valuable part of the defense back there. I love that he's back there. I feel comfortable. I feel safe when he's back there. Put it like that. You know what I'm saying? But I want to talk about Saquon Barkley real quick because everything we're talking about is not going to be about the game whatsoever. This is just about the Giants as a whole. I guess you can call it the state of the Giants. From like, if we get to, it's going to be that. But he's out with an ankle injury. This will be his 3rd consecutive game being out. But in career games, this is his 23rd.
Yeah. No, he's
injured. I don't know if you see that, but that's a lot.
That is a whole lot.
It's really concerning when and the Giants are not the only one that does this, but I noticed that we do this. We draft players that have big injury histories in college, and we think it's going to be all better when they come over. What are we thinking? I seen it with Saquon. I seen it with Odell, and there's some other ones too. But right now, the names are. I wouldn't put Peppers in that pick. We didn't even. I don't think we even drafted. Did we draft him? Yeah, we did. We did draft him. But people are talking about management and not paying Barkley, but nobody's even asking why. I mean, one of the reasons why I had a problem with a big contract wasn't because it wasn't deserved per se. I mean, Jonathan Taylor got his with the Colts a couple of days ago, so people are amped about that. Oh, we got the future back and everything. Okay, great. You know what I'm saying? But if you got a history of injuries, it's like, how much are you going to play?
Yeah.
You're going to pay somebody a big contract. You want them to play the majority of it, yeah? I mean, we got guys that are injured all over. We got Michael McFadden injured. Our primary left tackle's injured, Thomas. Our center, our golden boy, Smith is out with a shoulder. I mean, we got a guard. Our Lemieux is out with a groin. You know what I'm saying? How long is that going to heal? I mean, who knows? And we got D-line guys. We got injuries all over the place. We went into this game with a 1-3 record and got outscored in all 3 of the losses, 94-15. And I'm like, yeah, that's not good. Hope your head scratchers for me. Let me start here. One, why aren't you using Waller more? He's a mismatch against everybody. I don't care if it's a safety or cornerback. I don't care if it's a linebacker. It's still a mismatch for him. Why are you not using that? I mean, he has more speed than a linebacker, more size and strength than a DB. Why are you not utilizing that? I don't understand that. Using Campbell again on these 3-yard stick routes, making me pull the rest of my hair out. Got Campbell on a 3-yard stick all the time. Like, why do you keep doing? The man is known for his speed. Why you got him doing 3 yards? I don't get it. You asking Kayvon to drop in coverage all the time, like, and not rush the passer, which is essentially what he does best.
Yeah,
that's why you drafted him, not to drop back in coverage and be a liability. Can't use high speed. You drafted him for that. Kind of what Miami was doing against us. What we were trying to accomplish. They hardly use Shepard at all, and when they are in one game processes, they move away from it too soon. It's just a number of things going on. I just don't understand that. And I mean, for me, I'm like, I know that TJ must be listening to the criticism. He has to be, because I feel like he's thinking about that contract. He's out there trying to earn it again. Yet another quarterback playing hero ball, trying to do it all by his. You can tell that he's pressing and trying to do stuff by himself because he doesn't trust the O-line. I mean, he's. I mean, yeah, but there's some things he doesn't have to do, man. I mean, if the pocket's clean, why are you moving?
Yeah, well, I think he's moving because he doesn't trust that it's clean, because he doesn't have a reason to trust that it's clean. that kid has been getting.
He can trust it's clean because nobody is mauling him like a big grizzly bear. That's how you know it's clean, because nobody's mauling you.
Yeah, but the thing is,
used to being mauled.
I think at this point he is the Sam Darnold seeing ghosts kind of thing, because he's going against Cowboys and the Seahawks, and of course this last game where it was another 7-sack game. It was just like, yeah, like at some point when you're getting sacked and hit that many times, you're gonna feel pressure even when it's not there, just because it's been there all day. So I mean, it's I think he's getting himself into some bad decisions just because he's been hit so many times.
And then on top of that, it also feels like I'm just using my eyes again. Mm-hmm. It feels as though DJ is not really the choice of the current hierarchy, and that plays a part too. I mean, it's not that goes beyond football. Now we're talking about something different. Now we're talking about preferences and choices and options. And whenever a new hierarchy comes in, we've seen it in the corporate world. I know I have, and you probably have too. When people come in and they take over or they buy a company out, what do? They start filtering their own people because that's comfortable for them. They know what they expect. They want to kind of knock out some of the unknowns and make things as stable as possible. And he was already present before they showed up. Yep. And I get the impression, I'm not saying that he's like Josh Allen or anything like that, but I think that they have a certain kind of prototype they're looking for. Somebody they want. And I'm not quite sure that Daniel Jones is it. I mean, who knows? Drake may be what they want.
Well,
that might be more their style.
Like,
I know it's not Caleb Williams.
But I don't know any quarterback that's going to have success with no running game and a bad O-line. Like that's just not really the thing. And of course, the bad O-line is compounded because there's no running game, right? So everybody knows you're throwing the ball. Now, obviously there are some things that when you watch these games, I watched one of your offensive linemen block another one in the back and release 2 Seahawks to go murder Daniel Jones. So, I mean, there's obviously some coaching and game time issues that are going on as well.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. But when you have this kind of situation like this and you drafting people, what are you drafting? Somebody to accommodate what's already there, right? Sure. Not what you want. So I kind of feel like, once that ball gets rolling, all you can do is kind of try to build around what you already have for now. Excuse me. Not trying to attack me on air over here. No. So it's like, I mean, that's what it feels like is happening. It's like all you're going to try to just put pieces around to best accentuate what he does best, because he's in a spot for right now. That's not what they want. I really feel as though they don't really want him here. Not he's not a nice guy. I mean, just it's not their choice. It's not who they wanted. And like you said, coaching. I see a whole bunch of discipline related issues that are going on as well. I mean, punting multiple times a game, and you already crossed midfield. You won't even go for it. Like, why wouldn't you? What do you have to lose? You got one win under your belt. Go for it, man.
That's
they can stop you, great. If they can't stop you, if the defense is not stopping anybody, you got to go for it and take your shots. And that happened in Miami too because we weren't stopping them.
Well,
we had 320.
That's one of those situations.
320 yards in the first half.
Oh, sorry.
We had 320 in the.
Yeah.
That's
one of those situations where I'm not sure that Dable likes Jones. The way he leaves him out there to get absolutely crushed once you've been, once you're far enough behind, like get your dude out. Like,
I hope that's not the reason why. I hear people saying that, but my hope it's not a personal. I don't like you. I'm gonna let you get blasted out here. I hope it's not that. I mean, that doesn't sound right to me.
So basically, there's two things, right? It can only really be two things. One of them is he just doesn't like the kid and whatever, or the other one is he just doesn't know how to coach that situation, right? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, once you're down by, 3-4 scores, right, and there's no sign of you coming back, like, get some of those guys out, right? Especially if your guy has been back there just getting crushed. I mean, you have to know at some point, dude's going to get hurt. Like, so, you got other players. That's why you have a 53-man roster, right? Like,
I think Tyrod is it, though. I don't think Tyrod is the answer, though.
I mean, but if you don't, they used him at the end because Jones got hurt, but they should have had him in there before then.
But they don't have nobody else behind him, too. That needs to be, there's nobody. Those are the only two quarterbacks on the entire roster.
Sure.
Which makes it even worse. It's like, okay, so you leave Jones out there. Do you want to have Tyrod? Is Tyrod the one you want of the two? Because
that's exactly my point. Is it's like, okay, you're far enough behind. Jones isn't getting it done. He's throwing a couple of picks. You guys aren't doing anything on defense. Like, you're just, this game has gotten away from you. So put Tyrod out there and, don't get your starter hurt, right? Like, you paid him tons of money. So he's better if he's on the field, right? Like, like if you paid him, he's your guy. You would think he's the one that gives you the best chance to win.
Yeah.
Let's not get him on an IR sheet, right? Like, how about you throw that second guy in when you're down 4 scores, you're not coming back, save Jones for another day. And of course, now here we are. And it's not like this is something new that I've said. I've said this each week after he's been getting blasted. It's like, once you're far enough down, save your guy. And, unfortunately, it comes down to exactly what happened is at some point you're going to get hurt.
Yeah. I don't know what the season's going to be. I mean, people can say, "Oh, we're not going to go into the playoffs," and that's fine. I'm sure you're right. I don't think we're going to make it. But what's the season going to be? What are we supposed to be doing right now? That's one thing that, as a Giants fan, I'm open to suggestions because I have no idea what the plan should be now. What should we be doing? Are we going to go ahead and start shipping people out? Are we going to start going to full rebuild? Because right now, I don't think we really are in a real rebuild. The thing that we've done kind of say that we're really not, but are we going into a full rebuild now? I have maybe it's a poll question asked on Twitter, but what are we supposed to be doing right now? What's the goal here? Because I don't care about Caleb Williams. He ain't going to help us. What we got going on. Yeah, so I ain't looking for that, but what do we do? What's our approach to be?
I think your biggest thing now is what are you going to do at running back? Because, I mean, if you're rocking with Jones, which, I mean, you basically have to because this is the first year of his contract anyway, right? So if you're rocking with Jones, then, like, he obviously needs a running back. So
he has one.
No, but he doesn't because he's not on the field.
He probably be playing next week, man.
Okay.
He's going to be out for 3 games. I mean, so.
No, but so the thing is, though, is Saquon has a history of being hurt. Now, he balled out last year.
You telling me?
No question. No, but what I'm saying is Daniel Jones needs a running back to be successful. We've seen that, right? anytime he hasn't had one, he hasn't been particularly great. When he does have one, he balled out, right? That's how he got his name, Danny Dimes, right? He had Saquon, and he was able to do a lot of play action, and it worked well for the way he plays football. The problem is the guy you have in the building, which you haven't paid, right, gets hurt a lot. And so, yes, he had an awesome year last year, but, he was out the year before. He was injured the year before that. So, I mean, there's a lot of question marks, because if you're going to continue to rock forward with Saquon, it's one of those, it's that old adage, right? Your best ability is availability, and he's not consistently available. And to have your entire team fall apart if the running game isn't there, you're going to need to find a running back that can be more consistent, or you're going to have to find a quarterback that can deal with that situation, because Daniel Jones doesn't appear to be that guy.
I think we're in a place where both of these situations are going to be addressed, because it looks like, even though the contracts don't really match from a length of years standpoint, it feels like this year is the year for them. It feels like, to me. I've been telling folks on Twitter constantly, you're probably not listening because they're in their own little bubble and they don't care what anybody's talking about. But the Giants gave Jones a very team-friendly contract. After the second year, they can get out of it.
Yes.
I don't know what happens beforehand with the buyout, but at the second, at or before, or at the end of the second year, you can get out of it and not have to pay anything.
Yeah,
that was done by design.
You're stuck this year and next year with it.
Yeah. So, but Barkley, he doesn't have a multi-year contract. So I'm looking at this year as, okay, that's what I'm saying. What are we going to do when Barkley's healthy again, which hopefully should be this week? He did more in practice this week than he did last week, so I think he's progressing well. But you're talking about, hopefully Jones is okay enough to play. So getting both back on the field will potentially put you in more games, I guess, right? But what's the goal there? Are you trying to win as many games as possible? I'm trying to find out I can't ask the Giants. I'm just asking out loud.
Yeah.
What's your goal? Are you trying to win more games, or are you just saying, you know what? This is a wash. Let's back off of this. Let's cut bait. It's hard to tell.
1-4 now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a tough spot, right? Because you are almost at a place in the year where, even if you start trying to win, games, you're probably going to be a 500 team.
I say this, I know it's going to happen. I feel like the answer just came to me like a revelation from above. I know what's going to happen with this. They're going to sit here and try to play spoiler. They're going to run all these boys out.
All right.
And they go. It just feels like that's what's going to happen too. They can go ahead and run Barkley. They're going to run Barkley into the ground as much as they can. That's why they give him that 1 year deal, because they knew this was going to happen. Give him that 1 year deal. They're going to run him into the ground, and they're going to cut bait.
Yep.
It ain't going to be Eric Gray, because he ain't going to be. He's a good running back, but he's not going to be the number one guy. Somebody else got to come in. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to try to find some way to get Daniel Jones out of that contract.
No, that's exactly what it seems like to me. Is they are gonna, Barkley's gonna come back. They're gonna beat him up. Basically just kind of ruin him. And it's also going to make it so that you guys are roughly a 500 team, and you're going to have nothing great draft wise. You're stuck with Daniel Jones for another year anyway, right? Because the dead cap this year and next year is too much to just dump him and move on.
Yeah, I guess so, man.
So you have him through next season anyway. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, by the end of that second year, by the end of next season, I don't think either one of those guys are on your team.
I don't get the plan. But how quick can you talk about the Cowboys and the Niners? I'm not going to say a word. How quick can you get through this? We got less than 5 minutes.
I mean, the Cowboys are what I was thinking the Cowboys were. They're going to beat up on bad teams. They're just not quite that team to take on the elite. Some of it could be Cowboy hate, sure, but it's also just history driven. We've seen this movie before, roughly 25 times in a row. So, it's just something that they come up short in big games. And, Dak is part of the problem there. I said before this game they were going to throw 2 picks, and he ended up with 3. So way to go, Dak. Way to overachieve, man. So, and again, the Niners look like the best team in the league, and they proved why they're viewed that way. I mean, there's really not much more to say because nothing I saw out of the Cowboys was noteworthy or made you feel good about where they are.
Works for me. Great show, brother.
Yes,
Wherever you are today, guys, and however you listen to the Call Me Mr. You, the podcast, we thank you again for making us a part of your morning, your day, and your week with your weekly mirror check before you change the world. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on Twitter. Thanks again for joining us. Please like, share, subscribe. Bo, where can they find you, man? You're everywhere. Megastar.
Yeah. You can find me on my channel, which is Football-Talk right here on YouTube. And, of course, on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and every other social media at Football Talk with Bo.
Yep. Dayball hates DJ. Peyton hates Russ. Cowboy fans hate Dak. But we don't hate you guys. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us again. Coach out.
See you guys.